That's a wide body beat. That's a wide body beat. That's a wide body beat.
Yo, Panther Nation, what's good? Welcome back. Carolina's Armchair GM. I am your host, CJ. All right. So I thank everybody who's out there watching, joining. Appreciate you showing up. Okay. As always, before I get into it, do my usual rigmarole here. As you're joining, okay, as you're sitting down, getting your favorite drink, and hopefully listen to me, just ramble for about an hour and a half or so. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Okay, whatever platform you're watching this on, make sure you also follow as well. Okay, so not a whole lot of news coming out from the Carolina Panthers. Since the last time we've been live, we do have one bit of news that we'll get into here in a minute. Okay, but as you saw by the title, I do have a special guest with me tonight, none other than Clay from the Roppstar Report. How you doing, sir?
What's up, CJ? Appreciate you having me on, man. I appreciate you bringing me in on your channel. I look forward to every time chopping it up with you every time I get a chance to come on your channel. Honestly, we don't, I feel like as Panther content creators, we don't do this enough, but hopefully that
We
changes
don't.
here soon. Hopefully we can start getting some more people on everybody's channels like we used to. But appreciate you having me on. I hope you're doing well tonight. Hope everybody else in the chat is doing well tonight. Start off in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from tonight. All right. And
Yeah.
make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to CJ's channel. All right. Make sure you're all doing all the right things to help him out. All right.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Clay. Because as y'all know, and as I keep saying, I'm still on my way to my first goal of 2,000 subscribers. Okay, it keeps doing this. It does this and does this, and I'm like, all
It
right,
fluctuates, man. It
I'm gonna
fluctuates.
get there. I'm gonna get there. All right,
It's
cool.
every time that you're really trying to reach a goal. It's so funny with YouTube algorithm. It's like, uh, oh yeah, we're there. Oh
Yeah,
no,
we're back.
it's like
Yeah.
it plays with you. You know what I mean?
It really does. It really does. Hey, and speaking to everybody in the chat, let's get into a few comments here. Nada, what's going on with you? Said everything CJ Scout got to go. Evero said won't that I guess he won't let that happen. We'll see, man. We'll see. We'll see. Let me see. SC Panthers boy, what's going on? Said sup Curtis Payne Jr. and Clay Dog. Man, y'all a trip. Poppin', what's going on, man? How you doing? How you doing, man? Let me see. Jay Issue, what's going on with you, man? How you doing? Papa said, thanks for helping me out. Anytime, brother. Anytime. Still got the beard. I see. Yeah, man. I'm trying. I'm trying. I got some plans for it tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm still working with it and this mess I got up under here that I got the hat covering up. Barbara said, "What's up, Clay?"
What's
And
up, man? What is
he,
up, poppin'? Hope all is well, brother.
Cash said, "Fellas, what's going on with you, D Cash? How you doing?" All right, Clay. So I brought you on here tonight because I wanted to talk about who stays and who goes as far as the Panthers' current list of free agents that were on the team this past season that will be, either restricted free agents, unrestricted free agents, or exclusive rights agents coming up this season. Okay. But
Right.
before we get into that, we talk about the little bit of and I say little bit, but it might be something that actually turns a side of the ball, I ain't gonna say around, but definitely pushes it forward more in the right direction. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So the Panthers have brought in Darrell Bevel. Okay, and he is going to be the associate head coach slash offensive specialist. Okay. Now, as I'm looking at his coaching career here, all right, he was the Green Bay Packers assistant quarterbacks coach from 2000 to 2002. Green Bay Packers, I'm sorry, Minnesota Vikings no, sorry, Green Bay Packers quarterback coach, 2003, 2005. All right,
Yep.
Minnesota Vikings offensive coordinator, 2006 to 2010. Seattle Seahawks offensive coordinator, 2011, 2017. A lot of the Russell Wilson era,
Yep.
and you gotta believe he's the one that said throw it instead
Mm-hmm.
of run it with
Mm-hmm.
with good old beast mode. All right.
Yep.
Then he was the Lions offensive coordinator 2019 to 2020, interim Lions head coach in 2020, the Jaguars offensive coordinator 2021, and the Jacksonville Jaguars interim head coach in 2021. And most
Yep.
recent, he was the quarterbacks coach and passing game coordinator for the Miami Dolphins. All right. Now, me, when I look at this, Dave Canales has already said he's not giving up the play calling. Okay. You already have offensive coordinator Brad Izik, who is here. Okay. In your opinion, what does this hire mean for the Panthers? And do you think it's more so of not a delegation hire, but somebody who's taking a little bit of the the workload of being head coach and offensive coordinator from Dave Canales? What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on it?
Yeah. I broke this down last night because a lot of people were asking when I posted about it on X, they were just like, give your thoughts. And I was just like, you know what? I'd rather go live and talk about it because it's just there's so much thoughts to think about it. This is not a power move. So it's not going to be like where Dave, like this guy's going to take over and all that stuff. Like he is basically going to help Dave Canales. This is going to be truly, this is going to be Dave Canales' right hand man. And I think this for Brad Izik is going to be a guy that he can bounce ideas off of and really learn from. Where Canales is being a head coach, you can't coach and train someone to be a play caller, right?
Mhm.
Brad Izik is this is what this guy is going to come in here and do. He's going to be that guy who is going to bounce ideas. He's going to do the weekly game planning. I think he's also going to be a play call designer, if so to speak, where he comes in and design plays play sequencing, I guess you could say. So design, play sequencing, kind of same ordeal. Situational priorities. All right. Because you already, Dave Canales is already, you know, he's already done playing override at this point, right? Like
Mhm.
he's trying to be a play caller. He's trying to be manage the game. He's trying to, but he also has mentioned he wants to be more involved in the defense and the special team. So he can't be in three different places at one time. It's just not uh, it's just not possible, right? And
Yeah.
then you got, I think
Mhm.
another thing this guy's going to help with is the offensive identity and the quarterback development. I mean, the guy's got a resume of a long list, right? You know, another guy he's worked with is Brett Favre. So again, that's where the Russell Wilson sling it comes from. Okay.
Mhm.
This is a guy to who can come in and really bounce ideas. He's going to become that alternative voice, right? Without forcing that public power struggle, right?
Mhm.
We're not going to see the Frank Wright ordeal with the all-star coaching staff and this whole ego thing,
Yeah.
okay? What you're going to see from this guy is, like I said, it's just going to be it's just going to be a weekly game planning. It's going to be a play sequencing. It's going to be situational priorities. It's going to be offensive identity. And that's what he's going to come in here and do. I think that this could be a good thing for Bryce Young. It also could be a bad thing for Bryce Young as well. And I hope I'm not jumping ahead, but because I didn't know if that might have been a question. But what this means for Bryce Young is that it could benefit Bryce, but it also can put his timeline a little bit. That evaluation window could actually get a little bit tightening because with a guy who has such a strong track record as he does, right, working with quarterbacks, Russell Wilson's, Brett Favre's, that profile fits, young, right? I mean, and
Mhm.
so especially when you talk about Russell Wilson and Tua Tagovailoa, we're not talking about the arm strength, but I'm just talking about like the metrics, the size limitations, right? The reliance on timing, the movement, the decision making rather than the raw arm strength. But another thing that I think a lot of people aren't putting in this situation a little bit more is that look what he did in Miami when that offense was firing on all cylinders. It was the number one offense in the NFL. It was one of the most efficient passing attacks we've probably seen because his experience as a quarterbacks coach, as a
Mhm.
pass game coordinator there, definitely brings some value, I think, here. And a lot of people are asking me, well, Jim Caldwell, what about him? Well, he'll still be part of the leadership group as well. So I think this is an interesting hire. I'm not going to be like, oh, it's an all-star hire. I think it's interesting, and I think that this guy knows what works, but he also knows what doesn't work because he's seen it all.
Okay. All right. Now, let me ask you this. And as far as the timeline for Bryce, I guess it all depends on who you're talking to. A lot of people, that timeline expired the second after he was announced as the number one pick. You know what I mean? And it's back and forth between
Yeah,
Panther Nation. It's all over the place with who's in on Bryce, who's out on Bryce, who hasn't who hasn't decided yet. And I guess I'm kind of the ones where I'm hoping that he does well, but it still hasn't sealed the deal quite yet, for me because there are a few things that I'm still looking at, for Bryce. And I guess one of those things is to be, more consistent, with his play out there on the field. But could this hire, you know, help with that? And one thing I've always wondered, Clay, so Isaac is on the sideline with a Canales during the game. Is there anybody up there in the booth with the bird's eye view relaying information back down, to Canales? Could Bevel do? If I'm sure somebody's up there, but you
I
got to
think
think you
so.
got Canales calling the plays,
Yeah.
and then your offensive coordinator is right there next to you. So I don't know, but like I said, well, like you said, the quarterbacks that he's worked with, and I also saw where back in what was it, 93? Uh played with Wisconsin, led them to the Rose Bowl, and won their first Rose Bowl
Oh,
game since I think 1960. Okay. So, he's got it in him.
wow.
He is a QB. Okay. So we'll see what that experience and how that translates to because thing people got to realize too. Now, mind you, we won 8 games, but our offense was still in the bottom part of the league. I didn't in the lower, I gotta say lower third. We were in the 20s in damn near every category except for rushing,
Yeah.
I do believe. And at one
Yeah,
point, it
we
looked like the
were at
no, go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, I think in total offense we were 27th in the league, and I think in total scoring we were 27th in scoring as well. But the year
Mhm,
before that, Canales' first season, which is kind of crazy to think about this, we were 29th in total offense, which we averaged 298 yards per game. So we were 29th total offense his first season, 23rd in scoring, where we averaged basically 20 points a game.
mhm,
Then this past year in 2025, we were 27th in total offense, but we were 3 yards less per game. So we were at 295 yards per game, but ranked 27th in total offense, which is kind of weird to me. Two different, like, I guess, from a ranking standpoint, 27th, 29th, but with lesser yards averaging. So that's just something I'm trying to understand. And then 27th in scoring, which we averaged around 18 points per game. And then we only converted like 36% of our third downs last season, which is the eighth worst in the league this past year. So
mhm,
it definitely doesn't like scream like a sustainable contender, in my opinion. Well, again, even after the wild card loss to the Rams, I think Canales had to acknowledge that changes have to be on the table. Even though Dan Morgan was like at his press conference saying, well, we're not, we're talking about the play calling, right?
mhm.
We're not going to force that, which is great because that means they have trust in Canales. But Canales also was like, I just can't do all of these things right, and call plays. But if I want to be involved in these other things, I've got to get someone in here who can really help me. And no offense to Brad Ezek, he just doesn't have that experience.
True. It's true. And that's what I was going to say, hopefully this will be a hire to, kind of help Canales get out of what I like to call the funk that he gets into sometimes with his play calling.
Right.
Because I never forget
Right.
after we went 0 and 2 and we got to the Atlanta game, and I was telling Tony, I said, hopefully Canales will use the pass game to kind of open up the run game a little bit, because like
Hmm.
he was adamant about establishing the run game, almost like he wanted to be a run first team, which is great. That's fine.
Right.
But he had multiple times this season where it's just like, okay, Dave, like I'm sitting here in the bleachers, or I'm sitting here at my desk watching the game, and I'm like, dude, they're you're not going to run on them. It was crazy because the Saints game in Bank of America Stadium was probably the worst example of that. When I say they came out and were like, "Yeah, we're gonna stop you with our front four and maybe one extra lineman, a linebacker or something," and it was like it almost took him to the fourth quarter before he realized. And I'm like, dude, I'm sitting here in the stands next to my wife, and we both looking at him. We looking at each other like, does he not see this? So it's wild, but
Well,
I'm hoping that this is something, like you said, that will help, open this
well, I,
offense up and give him some help.
well, I was gonna say too. The good thing about him is like he learned right. He was under Mike McDaniel in Miami, and so the one good thing that I looked up about him in the style of offense that Miami runs is like it's like a wide zone scheme, basically the same thing that Dave Canales runs. Right there, I would
Mhm.
say the passing is a little bit like the setup of the passing is a little bit different, right? The way he like designs the pass plays,
Yeah.
but again, there's going to be that familiarity from the scheme that he ran in Miami. I think that we're going to see more of I think we're going to see more of a more efficient offense. I think what he's going to try to do is like I think like the best case scenario is that this offense will climb into the middle of the league, right? And in situational, like I think the efficiency will improve with a guy like this, and Canals will keep calling plays, but with
Mhm.
better results, I think. And I think the most likely thing we'll see is this offense is going to look cleaner. It's going to be more consistent without becoming the most explosive, but will also have fewer wasted possessions. I don't expect them to go out here and look like that Miami offense 2 to 3 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Expected it like at first you're gonna see that progress um next year. I don't expect it to be a top 10 offense, but we should with this hire. I think that if we're being realistic, we should expect progress and we should visibly see measurable progress. And I would say, like, for example, fewer stale drives. I would hope that our third down efficiency gets better. The biggest thing, of course, is when we are down in the red zone, we're actually executing. And I think we're also going to see a smarter game management with a guy like this. All right. I think that again, I've said it before and said it again. Credibility comes from patience, and that's one thing that from Panthers fans that we've got to learn is patience. And we went 8-9 this past year. Not a lot of people even expected us to have the year that we had. But I
Mhm.
do think that you should expect if with a guy like this, with the familiarity with Dave Canales, working with him in Seattle, having the similar run scheme, kind of a different play design from a pass game standpoint. But I do think you should expect from a Carolina Panthers standpoint and a fan, realistically, is being expect us to be in the middle of the pack next year.
Okay, bet. I like that. I like that. All right, and let me get into some comments here. And Clay, I want to probably cover you up some. I apologize for
Yeah, you're
that.
fine. You're
Hold
fine.
on. You know what?
Hey
Let
man,
me.
this is your show. Let's rock it. All right.
All right. Let me do that. Right. Cool. Rollmaster said, "Oh shit," and he said, "Clay, what up, G?"
What up, Roadmaster?
Panther boy said, "Looks like old boy went passed around the lot." Daggone, Panther boy.
Must have been on Tinder. Must have been on NFL Tinder.
So why are we hiring these guys? What the hell, just wasting their time? Maybe not. Maybe not, JSU.
I
Maybe
wouldn't
not.
say it's a waste of time at all. I really do think this is a very interesting hire. Again, I think it's a solid hire, and I think it's something that, again, that's why I broke it down the way that I did. It's because
Hmm.
we need to be realistic with it. Okay. Like I'm not sitting here and being like, oh, like this is not like, oh, I got Mike McDaniels as our OC, right? Like this is a guy that
Facts.
worked under Mike McDaniels, has the similar scheme, has a play design background. Obviously, has worked with quarterbacks the same size as Bryce, but again, there's a lot to look for. I think a lot to kind of look into with this. It's just very interesting to me. That's all.
Okay, gotcha. He said, Romaster said Davis having to manage offense and defense because Everett sucked.
He did say he
Boy,
wants to be a part of the defense, so
man, let me tell you, I just hope that in some way, somehow, that we never have another situation like the end of the Rams playoff game.
yeah,
Okay. You were
yeah,
doing you were doing good, Evro, the entire game. And then
yep,
on the last drive, you went into the complete fetal position and
yeah.
said, I don't know what to do. Let me tell you,
Well,
I
it
could
didn't
have
have.
I could have walked out there. I could have walked out there and ran 5 or 6 yards, caught a pass, and dropped down and like, all right, good. Take me out. I got one play in the NFL. I'm done. With how far they were, well, how much they opened up the middle of the field. And again, like I like to call it, that parking lot defense playing across the street of the doghouse. So
I understand it. I think my only like give to that or my take to that it would be is this. Let's look at that linebacker room that we got. I mean, the number one,
true.
number two, and also on that last play, I pretty JC Horn was out. So that doesn't help us either. But again, I again scheme does matter, but also the players have got to perform.
Yeah, this is true. But now, and I will say this, looking back at oh, and thank you to Cheshire Cat for the $10 super chat. It's hard to let Rico Dowdle go after a great season. They can't keep both him and Chuba Hubbard. Have you heard about Chuba Hubbard being traded any other team? Absolutely not. I think that's probably the last thing that we have to be worried about is Chuba Hubbard being traded. Now, I say that with a grain of salt because that's why I'm sitting here, in my in my done up shed with all my toys and stuff, talking to y'all. I'm not anybody with the with the organization. So I say that and be like, oh crap, Chuba did get traded. But no, I haven't heard anything. But
Yeah,
I also heard one
if they're
crazy
gonna let Rico walk, I don't see them trading Chuba Hubbard like
no, no
unless
way.
they just if they extend LA, unless they decided, okay, Rico, we like what you brought more to the table, and then they're like, all right, Chuba, you do underperform. Yeah, we just gave you a big contract. I mean, the problem is even if you trade him, I think that we would take a major dead cap hit, but we would also get some
Yes.
structure back into the regular cap, but it wouldn't be as much as the dead cap. So it doesn't really make sense to trade him. And I think that maybe apparently a lot of reports that I've been seeing and I've been hearing in the background, Jonathan Brooks apparently looks like he might be back to 100%.
I've actually heard the same thing, and I did hear somebody predict landing spots for all of the top 100 agents, and they had Rashad White from the Buccaneers coming to Carolina, and and they were like some uncertainty may loom with Jonathan Brooks' injury, and I was just like, nah, I don't know about that.
I don't know about that.
It's like they grasping for straws with this one. It's just somebody
Yeah.
just throwing something out there to put something on paper. We'll
Yeah.
see. But again, thank you, Cheshire Cat, for the $10 donation. I really appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Okay. Now, all right. So we got Daryl Bevel here, and hopefully he will be a key figure in improving this offense this season. Right. So now let's get into another thing that happened after during in the earlier part of our playoff line. Okay. Big Icky, okay, ruptured patellar tendon. Okay. And I know I partially tore mine back in 2018
Damn.
in the dumbest way possible. Okay. The absolute dumbest way possible. And I say that because I'm in there getting ready for surgery, and you see all these people and they're like, "Oh, what are you here for?" I was like, "Yeah, I tore my patellar tendon." "Oh yeah, I did this. I was mountain climbing. I was doing this. I was biking." I left work and got into the car, and I went to put my foot on the little rest and push myself up in the seat some, and I felt pop. That's why yeah, yeah, put your hand on your face, Clay. Like I said, the dumbest way
God,
possible. Yeah. All I did, I pushed myself back in the damn seat. I felt the pop and I was like, damn, I said, "Oh, that hurt a little bit." I got around the corner,
that's the most
and
freakish thing I've ever
I
heard.
bruh, got around the corner, okay, and it quit. Got to work the next day, and I was like, "Hey, my knee hurt a little bit." And the a day after that, I had a little stool in there, and I put my leg up on. I was like, "Damn," I say, "This really is starting to bother me a little bit more." The next day, I'm literally going across, the foot of our bed, and I'm dragging my leg because I can't pick my leg up. And my wife
Jeez.
looks at me and she goes, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to work." I'm stubborn. I don't. I'm. It's just I get it from my dad. If I can get up, I'm going to work. And I'm
Mhm.
literally dragging my leg, behind me, and she's like, "No." She said, "Call them or I'm calling them for you." And went and had an MRI done, and lo and behold, they said I had a partially torn patella tendon. And it took me, shoot, better part of a couple months before I could really like even pick my leg up at all. And then the first time I actually picked it up when I was it was in rehab, I picked it up like that much. And
Mm.
and then, it went from there. So I could imagine what well, nah, I couldn't I can only barely partially imagine what he's going through with a fully ruptured patella tendon. Okay. And so the description I got up here is straight off of Google. Okay. Says patella tendon ruptures are generally considered difficult to recover from, requiring surgery and 6 to 12 months of intense rehabilitation to regain strength and mobility. While over 90% of people return to daily activities or work, return to the same level of pre-injury athletic performance challenging, with some studies indicating about 25% of athletes may not return to their sport. Now, one person we can kind of look at, maybe some inspiration, Jimmy Graham. He had the same thing when he was with the Seahawks some years back
Yeah.
and was able to come back and be ready to go before the start of the next season. But he did say it was from the time he woke up in the morning to the time he went to bed at night, constant, all day, every day, trying to get himself ready, trying to get himself back prepared to play. Now, Icky tore his last month in January. Jimmy Graham tore his November that season. Okay.
Mhm.
So, and what I got here on the bottom of the screen, now mind you, we're paying they already picked up Icky's 5th year. Okay. So we're paying him $17.5 million. So what do you think? Because this is going to tie into another slide I got here. So what do you
Sure.
think? We're gonna have to do something about Icky. Okay. So do
Right.
you think we should go a temporary fix for Icky and see how he turns out? Or do we do a temporary slash possibly long-term replacement just in case he doesn't?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is CJ, we're not rich here in Carolina right
Facts.
now. We're not, you know. And when you've got your left tackle hurt, that does put it puts an interesting situation, because this is where I think fans and where teams kind of convince themselves that they can fix it in free agency, and Carolina can't fully. Now
Mhm.
they could go out and sign a guy like Josh Neishman and roll with that. But if he gets hurt, who you got, right? You could bring back Christensen, who I could support bringing him back as well. And obviously we'll get to that, but we're only at $14.4 million projected cap space right now. Now, once, of course, this whole brand new explosion of the NFL with the new cap space hits, I still think we're only gonna be at like I think it's like we get a boost to like 20 between I think I want to say 2021 if
Mhm.
that. Um but Carolina, I think the thing is so can you do it in free agency? I don't see how. I mean, unless you restructure some contracts, it's a big problem when you've got a guy like this. I mean, here's the thing: the difference between Jimmy Graham and Ike Ekwonu is we're talking a two total positions and
Mhm.
two total different sized players and total different movements, right? And that this is not like he'll be back in minicamp type of situation, just like you read off there. This is a kind of injury where you got to plan for him to miss some time, right?
Mhm.
And you're so this is not something we just can't we can ignore. Now, I think for me, if I'm going in priority of order, and I know I might be jumping ahead a little bit, but um it depends on what we do in March. And what I mean by that is what we do in free agency. Because if we do go out and get somebody at the left tackle position, okay, or you get an edge rusher, okay, or you get if you get that edge rusher, right? I think then you have to look at possibly getting one of those tackles in the first round. All right. If you don't do that, then you either then you have to fix it. But the thing is you got to get somebody in there. It does
Mhm.
not matter. The biggest key to this Carolina Panthers offense, no matter what, is protecting your young quarterback who's going into his fourth year. I guess you wouldn't consider him young anymore, but I mean, from his age,
Yeah.
he's still young, but, I
I
mean,
got you.
the biggest thing is you have to get somebody in there.
Okay.
I'm not necessarily saying that you do, I just think it all depends in March. If you get somebody that can come in here, you add Josh Neishman, you bring back Brady Christensen. If you're able to get a guy like Rashawn Gary or not Rash yeah, no, is it Rasheed Gary? The guy out of the Packers, the left tackle. Is it Rasheed
I
Gary? I think it is.
yeah, I
I
don't
think
know
it
who
is
the
Rasheed Gary.
hold on. I'll look.
Yeah, I think it's Rasheed Gary, if I'm correct. And Rasheed Walker. Thank you, T. Thompson. Rasheed Walker. It's Rasheed Walker.
Got you.
Rasheed Walker, or you look at maybe getting a guy like a Cam Robinson.
Mm.
Just someone that
Mm.
can get in there, not necessarily going to take over the position with Icky. I think
Yeah.
Rasheed Walker could be a guy that take over the position for Icky. Rasheed Walker is pretty. You know, he's he's pretty damn good. But I
Okay.
think Cam Robinson is definitely a bridge guy. He's just going to be a guy that's going
Oh,
to have
absolutely.
yeah. So again, it depends on what we do in March. But if we don't get somebody in free agency, then you have to look in the draft. You have to look at those first two rounds at getting a left tackle because you can't wait around for all that for the best left tackles to be taken off the board because we know that there's going to be teams out there fishing for someone to protect their quarterback. And again, the most important thing is keeping Bryce Young upright, especially from his blind side.
I got you. And thank you to who's that? Quell Davis. I hope I got that right. For the this is the first
Yep.
time I've got the jewel donation, 50 jewels. I got to figure out how to
I have no idea what that is either. So
Hey, appreciate it. But but yeah, man, I was looking at the free agent left tackles, and my thing is, a lot of them are older, okay, and
yep.
I think I'm looking at this from a standpoint where you have to, as the Panthers organization, have to cover your ass on this. Okay.
Yep.
You've gotta be covered in both situations. All right. If you get somebody in here, okay, who I put it like this: if we get a bridge guy and Icky returns, you know what? Great. But if we get a bridge guy and then they turn around and just leave, it's whatever. That year is done, it's gone. But what if we do draft somebody, get somebody in here, okay? And if Icky does turn around and become, what he was, and hopefully even better, and then we got some young talent on the team. Then you got a little bit more, not necessarily flexibility, but you got some more options. You can potentially trade this guy. Okay. If they're willing to put in the work, you might think of this person as a switch to right tackle. When we have another decision coming up with Taylor Moton in a couple years. You know what I mean? So I think the Panthers would do well to do their due diligence, with this one, and make sure that they cover themselves, from all angles, and kind of, keep everything on the table. And let me say this for the record: I am praying for Icky. I hope he returns. I hope he comes back, better than ever. But at the same time, I still want my team to be ready for the just in case.
Yeah, and I
Um,
don't know why we see a lot of hate on Icky, man. Like he's gotten better every single year. You know,
mhm.
like it's like
Yeah,
he has improved every single year. His worst year was obviously his first year, I mean, but you look at all the edge rushers he had to go against his first year. I mean, the first game of the season he had to go against Miles.
baptized.
I mean, my God. I mean, talk about a rookie coming in just being
Boy,
thrown to the damn wolves. You got to go
yeah,
up against the best edge rusher in the NFL. So it's like, but he's improved every single year. And I've seen a lot of people hate on him, but it's like you can't deny the fact that he's improved every single year.
yeah. Hey, and shout out to Quill Davis again for the $2 super chat, man. Thank you. I appreciate you. That goes a long way to helping me continue to make this content. And while it's on my mind, everybody that's out there, okay, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button. Okay, make sure you subscribe. Also, let me throw this in there. All right. If you haven't already, if you don't know, I started my website back up, armchairgmcj.com. Okay, so that's where I will be going, writing my opinion articles. I'll put links to these podcasts, my videos, and breaking news for the Panthers. Like I said, it's a little bit slow. I still got to go and write my article about Mr. Bevel that we talked about earlier. But yeah, but go ahead over and check out armchairgmcj.com. I appreciate the love and support. All right. But yeah, but this, let me tell you, this is definitely a highly unexpected, situation that, didn't think we were going to be dealing with a month or so ago. You
Right.
know what I mean? Everybody thought it was cool off season, defense, defense, defense. Okay. And and the thing is, and like I was saying, I don't see a whole ton of long-term options, out there in free agency. And mind you, I didn't even think about Walker. Is he's a free agent? Because I promise you, I
Yeah,
can
he's a
see it.
free agent. And
Okay.
also, I heard reports today that Dion Dawkins could be a trade candidate for the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, let me say him. Look, him and Ashawn going at it in practice ought to be funny.
That's
Wow.
true. That's very true.
Yeah. Now let me say it now, depending on what we'd have to give up for him, I wouldn't be mad at that at all.
We'll send him
You know.
Xavier Leggett and a Bojangles for life.
Hey, well, real quick, speaking of Excel, did you see the interview he did with Cam Newton?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Cam gave him let me say, when I say Cam gave him some great advice, Cam said, not anything to do with the physical, anything on the field. He said, lock in with your quarterback. The one
Mhm.
thing that made him and Greg great was, like one day a week, he would come in and watch film with Cam. And
Mm.
he would tell Cam, he's like, look, you see that right there? Now you look at that and you think I'm not open. He said, Cam, I'm telling you, I'm open. Throw me the ball. I'll get it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Little
Yep.
things like that. Excel also mentioned, Cam asked him, what would he like to do, or what was it? What would he like to do, or how he would like to be used? And he
Yep.
said, he like, well, I know this ain't college, man, but back in my last year of college, I wanted to have some more of the deep balls, choice routes,
Yep.
things like
Yep.
that. You know
He
what I mean?
did.
And mind you, when he said that, I thought to myself, I hope the Panthers offensive coaching staff is listening to this, because
Well,
it
that's
might
where
not.
I think Bevell might come into play because he, with the speed that he had in Miami, I think
Mhm.
you're going to see probably Xavier Leggett and Jimmy Horn Jr. might benefit from this guy's play design, the way that pass game was with that outside zone. out down there in Miami. So again,
Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing if we see more of them. I think Jalen Cooker will still kind of move in and out of the slot. I
Mhm.
think you'll actually see. I think you'll actually see Xavier Leggett kind of be going into the slot as well, where if he gets a slant, man, and he finds open space, it's barbecue chicken.
Mhm. Yeah. And cuz and I know a lot of people are completely out on XL. I'm not out on him just yet, and I've
Nah,
said
me
this multiple
neither.
times during the season. You know, use what he is good at, you know. And now mind you, he still has to work on a few drops. But
Absolutely.
I went back. Somebody asked me to get some film for him, and looking at XL on the all 22,
Yeah.
and for the most part when the ball was thrown to XL and it was in a place where he could get, excuse me, where he could get his hands on it, he caught the ball. Now in XL's defense, there were a lot of times where Bryce Young did overthrow, underthrow, threw behind him and whatnot. We seen him make a couple, what was it? The Miami game where he had that nice touchdown where he stretched out for. We've
Mhm.
seen him be able to get past defenders like in the Atlanta game, down in the A. When he got past the defender on the go route, Bryce threw him the touchdown in stride, 6
Yep.
points.
Yep.
So I think there is a way, to use XL, but and like you said, is Darrell Bevel, is he going to bring that extra bit of knowledge, and say, hey, well, you know what, this is what we did here. And on the other side, is Dave Canales going to be willing to accept that knowledge and
Mhm.
implement it into the offense? Because one thing that we have learned, one thing I've learned about these coaches here is stubborn as shit, bro. They are stubborn,
Yep.
stubborn. You know
Yep.
what I mean? So we'll
Most of
we'll
them
see.
are.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me see here. Will, what's going on, Tip Drill Will? I think we're going to take some big swings in free agency this year, and the XL slander is out of control within this fan base. Hey, Tay, man, like I said, I like Icky. Now, mind you, he does have he does have his moment, and sometimes I can't say moments. He has his game because Icky will have a run of 5 or 6 games. Just like bet he is solid. And then he's like he'll have a game. It's just like, damn, did you what did you eat this morning? Like, did you wake up on the wrong? Did you fall off the bed? Did you trip going out the front door? Like what happened? So but we'll see. We'll see. He said y'all saw Excel at Fan Fest last season. Plant, he was gone. Facts. Facts. He said, hey, get Evero up out of here. Gentrified Coochie Dandruff. Boy, that's a hell of a name.
Yo. Yo.
Oh my God. Yo.
I'm just gonna call him GCD because I'm not. I'm
DCD.
not. I'm not. I'm not going through all that. I'm not going through all
Oh my
that.
God. Yo.
We're
That
going with GCD on that one.
that made my night right there. That is hilarious.
Wow. I don't want to know what coochie you've been around.
Boy. It's
Whew.
goddamn diabolical. Yo, let me see. T Tom's Icky is bad, bro. He is top heavy and not. Yo, I'm not gonna lie. I did not realize Icky was as knock need as he is, probably until his second season. And I saw a picture of him, and I was like, yo, like he's down there playing the cymbals with his knees when he running. Like they just.
Mhm.
But but the thing is though, they said we've already picked up his 5th-year option. They're gonna pay him.
Mhm.
Like I said, I hope that it works out. But at the same time, we need to have a backup no matter what. So we'll
Insurance
see.
policy is key.
Is key. Definitely. Okay. All right. Now let's go ahead and get into next slide here. And the main topic for this. Okay, so the Panthers have a total of what is that? 24 free agents. Okay. They
Yep.
have 18 unrestricted, 4 restricted, and 2 exclusive rights. All right. So what I did was I put all their names and what category they fall under, and I got, a picture of Cade Mays, which I think is probably going to be our most high profile free
Yeah,
agent,
yeah,
probably our most expensive as well. Okay.
probably.
And what I did was I highlighted the ones that I think that the Panthers will bring back versus the ones that I think the Panthers will let go and test the free agent market and wish them well. Okay. So Clay, looking at this list right here, what are your thoughts on who's going to stay and who's
Well, first things first, I think let's just talk about the guy that we're all going to be talking about the most. Is Cade Mays. I think that's the guy you automatically. This is priority. I mean, your center stability matters when your quarterback is still, I guess we can consider still developing. But if his price is reasonable, you can re-sign him. But again, I think he's going to be. I think he's going to be. I've seen his market value go way up just because of how much the center position it has gone up from a financial standpoint in the league. If he gets stupid money though, you're gonna have to draft a replacement because you don't have the money to be able to resign him, and then it doesn't make sense to shift all that money into one player, and then you're not able to get any other guys that that you want to sign or re-sign to get in here, or guys you want to bring in from free agency, right?
Mhm.
Continuity is definitely valuable, but you can't get held hostage, right?
back?
So Gabe Mays for me is definitely number one priority if we can get him back. What's your thoughts, Cade Mays?
Yeah, I think Cade Mays is coming back, and I'm pretty sure the Panthers are going to do maybe like a 3-year deal with him. If it you ask me,
Yeah.
you gotta feel like any deal they do this offseason is going to be backloaded.
What's
Hope
his market value again? Let me
Oh
look it
God,
up.
I want to say it's around.
Is it 20 mil?
Hold on, you know what?
Yeah, his market value is actually no, his market value is around 12. So you said a 3-year deal. So if let's say the market value for him right now, um, we're looking at, 12.3 million per year. So you're looking at a 3-year,
Mhm.
$36.9 million deal, basically from what Spot Track is saying. So yeah, that's a big signing, especially when you only have $14.4 million to work with.
Yeah. Okay. And you know what? And we're gonna get into the cap here in a second. But another one now, Yash Nyman. Okay. Now, mind you, if Icky didn't get hurt, um, I've seen enough of Yash Nyman for the past two, that I would not mind the Panthers bringing him. Okay.
No, I think he's
I
been solid.
Yeah, I think he's been solid for what he's asked to do. Now, my only question is, would the Panthers consider trying to have him here as the starting left tackle in hopes of him being the bridge for Icky comes back? Because
I
that's
think
why.
what you I think what you do is because of the knee situation, you need a swing tackle who can actually play. I
Mhm,
think Nishman fits that mold,
mhm,
but Brady Christensen, I mean,
facts.
you get him too. I understand it, but he got injured and what did he tear? His Achilles?
Biceps. I think this was a
Biceps.
bicep.
Okay. Okay, so his biceps. So I mean, biceps isn't that big of a deal as much as it is your Achilles or something else. But again, you get him back, and he's a swing tackle as well. And then guess what? You've got two guys on the roster that you can if you felt like Brady, you could battle it out during the offseason. Whoever becomes the starter is a starter, but then you have a backup plan as well
Mhm,
on top of that. And you can move him around too. If Josh Nyman is just doing his thing and he's doing fine, and maybe Robert Hunt, hopefully, none of this happens, right? Obviously, we don't want injuries, but what if somebody goes down? Well, guess what? You got Christensen on.
true. Hey, real quick. I see. Thing says no audio. Okay. Y'all
from
y'all let me
from
know
me.
if it's probably I now I can hear you. Y'all let me know if y'all can still hear us out there. Like I said, I know I'm doing it on the shorts feed and the regular feed. Y'all let me know if y'all can still hear us out. So it was just somebody just like I said, just let me know if y'all can still hear.
I can hear it. I've got it on here. I can hear it.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, hope
Oh, they
things
can't hear me though.
they can't hear you.
Oh nope, they can. They can. Never mind.
Okay. All right.
Never mind. We're good.
All right. Ooh. Yeah, I know I like to be experimenting though. All right. Um. Okay. I, gotcha. Okay.
No,
All right.
you're fine.
All right. So, and what I was going to say was when you brought up Brady Christian. Okay, Brady Christensen has played all 5 spots on offense line
Hmm.
for the Carolina Panthers. All right. Do and if I'm not mistaken, when he was drafted as a tackle, if I'm
Yes, he
not
was
mistaken.
drafted as a left tackle,
Okay.
out of BYU, but he played left guard as well. I think he
Hmm.
played left guard his freshman year, and then played left guard, left tackle back and forth his sophomore, and then really transitioned into that left tackle there at BYU.
Okay. All right. So, cause my thing is this, like with the with cap space, and mind you, whatever contract that K Mays is trying to get, from the Panthers, that might well, not might, but that'll hinder, you know, Panthers being able to go out and make some moves in free agency. Because the thing is, everybody wants us to go out and make a splash in free agency as far as edge rush. Okay. Um, I know a lot of people want Max Crosby. I don't think that's going to happen because I don't think the
No.
Panthers are going to be willing to trade whatever the Raiders want for him, plus take on that massive ass contract that he's up in the 30 million something dollars a year. Yeah, there's no way Carolina's gonna be able to absorb all that. All right.
No.
And when you talking about the cap, I'm gonna get to the cap in a second. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, but like offensive line, like Jake Curhan, I do believe that they'll probably bring him back.
Yep.
Another wide receiver, David Moore. Okay, I wouldn't say rule out David Moore as being a potential candidate to come back. Jalen Coker, definite. And you got to think too, what does a contract for Jalen Coker look? Okay, how much will they end up having to pay him? I'm thinking anywhere between 2-3 year deal, but like I said, I'm not really clear as to how much he's going to
I think
pay.
I would probably say his market value, if I had to estimate, it's probably a 3-year deal.
Hmm.
And I probably estimated around, I think I saw it the other day, their contract would be like, let me double check it again. Yeah, I think it'd be like a 3-year deal. And I think someone told me it'd be around like 20, be like 24 million, something
Okay,
like that, which is like 8 million a year.
okay. All right, so I'm guessing Brant Tillis, in all his wisdom, probably, first year, signing bonus, close cap hit that first year, and then like I said, you know, most of these contracts are gonna have to be backloaded. You gotta remember, we have 5 players on this team taking up a third of the salary.
Yeah, and
Okay.
people need to realize with the cap too, CJ, that
Mhm.
you can manipulate the cap like crazy. Like I mean,
Yeah.
Brant Tillis
Mhm.
does a great job with it, and you know, but you don't. But Brant Tillis does it smart, where it's not like we're the Saints. The Saints manipulate the cap for so many years, where it just put them in that purgatory. The way
Oh,
Tillis is doing it is for a sustainable future.
you know what? Speaking of the cap, okay, let's take a look at it here real quick, right? And like I was saying, right here you have 5 players: Taylor Moton, Trayvon Merrick, J.C. Horn, Robert Hunt, and Derek Brown, who are all $20+ million a year. Right, that's a third of our
Mhm.
salary cap. Okay. Now, I did something on the last live that I did. Now, the Panthers can free up a little bit of money, okay, but it would involve Now you got a player like Ashawn. Okay, Ashawn will save you $10 million to cap. Now I do
Yep.
not think that the Panthers would cut Ashawn, but it's a possibility. Okay, so maybe
I
he's
kind of
in
think
line
you
for a
might. I think
restructure.
they might.
And they might, and they just might. Okay,
Yep.
so just say now for y'all watching, look at the cap space number up there at the top one. Okay, so if we were to cut Ashawn Robinson, that would jump us up to 24. All right. So Spot Track has us at 11 million, and over the cap has us at 14.4 million. And if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken, I keep hearing about some potential rollover money that the Panthers have from 2025 rolling over into 6. But if
Yep.
I'm not mistaken, this is already in these calculations. Okay. If anybody out there
Yep.
knows better, let me know. But if I'm not mistaken, that rollover money has already been accounted for in these calculations. Okay. Because at one point,
Hmm.
a lot of us were like, Panthers have something upwards of 20 something, 30, maybe $40 million. I'm just not seeing it
Hmm.
right now. Like I said, if anybody out there
No.
knows better than me right now, please let me know. Because I'm hoping I'm wrong. Okay.
Yep.
Another one. Pat Jones the second. Okay, which I don't think they're going to do. All right, but just to say if we cut him, that's 29 million. And again, Bobby Brown is a candidate. And again, like I said, I would go flip over every statue outside of Bank of America Stadium if they did cut Bobby Brown. But I mean, it's a possibility. I always say, don't put anything past anybody, especially a sports team.
No.
Okay, that's $34 million. All right,
Yep.
and now mind you, you got Mike Jackson Senior here, which that's not going to happen. That's absolutely. So the only other person would be Tommy Tremble. Okay, Tommy Tremble would save you $6 million. Yeah, so you cut Tremble, you cut Tremble, Bobby Brown, Patrick Jones, Ashawn Robinson. That gets you up to 40 million. Okay, and that's
Hmm.
just cuts. I don't think all of these people will be cut. I don't know if the Panthers will probably do restructure, save up some money. I gotta believe that one of these top five right here, maybe two, are going to the Panthers are going to approach them and ask them about a contract restructure, try to free up some money for the team. Okay.
Yep.
Clay, what you think about this as far as the cap goes?
Yeah. I mean, far as the cap space goes, I think you have to look at either restructuring or extending Taylor Moton because again, it saves you, I think, between 6 million to 10 million, depending on what you do. I think a restructure, I think, saves you six. And I think if I'm not mistaken, if you extend him, you save 10. If I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken. But he is again, the reason why I say that is because he's still a leader. He's still a good player. I mean, I know he doesn't move as he once did, but he's still solid. um converting, you got to convert some of that base salary to bonus, lowers the 2026 hit while keeping stability on the line. And I know this sounds crazy. I know he's our best defensive player, but I would explore restructuring Derek Brown, just but carefully, because
Mhm.
I know he's a cornerstone, but a $24.5 million cap hit is pretty heavy.
Yeah.
And this is acceptable only if it doesn't torch the future. But I think you gotta look at that, right? The goal here is obviously you want to create enough space to sign possibly a starting caliber tackle or sign one of those real edge rushers without blowing your future up, right? And your roster health up and all that. So yeah, I do think that from a cap space standpoint, I think that you should look into cutting Ashawn Robinson because I mean he's like besides last year, he had a solid year last year, but really, what did he do that was so good this year? Right. I think he's solid, but I mean, Derek Brown stepped up in the end. You already got Turk Wharton signed with a big, kind of a pretty decent sized contract. So you really can't move off of either one of them because I think you're going to take a major dead cap hit from both of them. Um, so I think that if you could save $10 million, I would say that you would look to restructure Taylor Moton. Be careful about restructuring Derek Brown. I would restructure it, but be very careful. Don't do it to where you're going to piss him off for his agent. But it's something you have to look at, right? Especially with where we're at. And I think another thing too is, again, I think if you can save, again, I think if you could save some money, I think you have to, especially $10 million. I think you have to look at, moving on from a guy like Ashawn.
Now, the only thing with restructure, if I'm not mistaken, they do add void years to the contract. Okay, so you're basically
Yeah.
taking the money from this year,
Yeah.
adding it into void years where that player is not guaranteed to be on the team, but the Panthers are going to be guaranteed to be paying them money. Okay.
Right.
Now I didn't get into any of the specifics, so I just hit the restructure button for Derek Brown and Taylor Moton. And so if I submit both of those, I'm just going to hit restructure on both of those. Okay, so that frees up another 20 million.
Yeah.
Um and okay, even somebody like Ashawn, now when I pull up on him, it doesn't have restructure on his. It
Right.
has extend or renegotiate. So
Hmm.
that probably be a factor in okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool beans. But yeah, but I did want to get your thoughts on the cap space because I think we're in a more precarious a precarious position than a lot of people realize in Panther Nation.
Yeah,
Um
I think that with the cap space too, CJ, I think it's like you got like a plan A or plan B, right? Where it's like,
mhm,
okay, you can create usable cap room, right? Where you cap moves that are, I think, realistic. Really, I think the realistic moves that I would say are Moten restructure slash extension. I think Derek Brown is also a realistic restructure, but it's a very careful one because you can free up around 5 to 10, especially with Moten. You can free up 6 to 10 as well, and then you one additional mid tier restructure, some mid tier guy where you could save up like 3 to 8 million. The goal for us is really what we want to be in that range of before free agency really hits is you want to be around that 30 to 45 million functional space, right?
yeah,
After resigns and of course the rookies playing. You're not you don't you, the rule here is you're not trying to chase max cap. You're trying to chase enough cap to fix the roster without screwing yourself for 2027 and 2028. Or then you got plan B where you just spend using buckets, right? You just
like the
start
Patriots.
throwing money to a left tackle bridge and you throw to a premium ish edge rusher and then you re-sign Mays and Nishman and maybe for some odd reason we re-sign Daddle and Wanum or whatever, right? And
Yeah.
so again, it's like that's your plan A, your plan B. You either try to restructure and then gives yourself that functional space. Then you try to go out there and do it, or you just start throwing money at everything that walks.
And you got to remember too, and mind you, we're sitting at 14-4 according to over the cap here. The Panthers last year went into agency, if I'm not mistaken, it was like 25, 26 million dollars and
Hmm.
pulled off, hold on. Oh, gotcha. Gotcha. Hey, appreciate the $5 donation. It wasn't audio trolling. I don't know what happened. I need to restart. I got you. Hey, appreciate you, Shane, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for the $5. I really appreciate it. Okay, all right, because like I said, I am experimenting with some stuff here, so I'm just making sure that everybody could hear me. All right. But yeah, okay. So like I said, the Panthers had about $25 million going into the free agency last year. We brought in Turk Wharton. We brought in Trayvon
Trayvon
Merritt.
Mullen.
So
Yeah.
there were, and the thing was, we were, we threw a bag at Milton Williams too, and he said that he thought that he was going to be a Carolina Panther, but what did he say that the Patriots really showed
Just
him love,
yeah, or something like
whatever.
that.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, so they threw more money at you.
They
I don't,
threw some more
yeah,
money at you. Is all it was, man. Like, let's just be honest. Let's just call it what it is.
yeah. The Panthers had their limit, and that
Yeah.
was it.
Yeah.
All right, let me take this off. Okay, so back to this. Like I said, the
Yeah.
Panthers got 24 agents. Like I said, the ones that I have, I got Austin Corbett, Josh Nyman, Cade Mays, Brady Christian, Jake Curhan, David Moore.
Yep.
Christian Roseboom, and I got Nick Scott up here. I was the biggest Nick Scott troll, not this past season, but before that. I've had to give him his credit this season. He wasn't an elite safety, but was damn sure better than he was the year before. Still had his times where you just like, Nick, what the hell are you? Okay,
Right.
but showed definite improvement, and I think that'll probably be enough to get him back on the team. But and I got Isaiah Simmons on. Now I
Yep.
don't know if the Panthers are willing to take a chance on him, and put him back in and say, think about Jeremy Chin,
Yep.
that hybrid safety linebacker role like Trayvon Merrick played.
Yep.
Maybe we have somebody else to fill that role. Sam Martin, JJ Jansen, and Jalen Coker, and I think Bryson Tremaine will get will stick with the team as okay.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah, I think Caden Bays, Josh Nyman, Brady, Durham. I don't think they're gonna bring back David Moore.
okay,
I just don't. Uh, just because of that injury, I just don't see it. Rico Dowdle, we know he's done here. I actually think they'll bring DJ Wanham back, but I think they're going to bring him
okay,
back on a very, very small contract, or that's what they're going to try to do.
yeah,
Travis Gibson is interesting because he did have showed some promise, especially on the special teams, but also stepped in pretty nicely. Um, Christian Roseboom, I think that's a price is right type of ordeal. Um, I don't think that they should bring back Nick Scott, but with the fact of Evero still being a different defensive coordinator, I wouldn't be surprised. I think that you have to look at bringing back Isaiah Simmons. I think that the guy's
mhm,
talent still has some potential there. I mean, I don't understand what to this day how freak of an athlete he is. I'm just so surprised. I do think that Sam Martin, JJ Jansen, absolutely. And of course, I think Bryson Tremaine as well. And we all know that we want Coker back here. So
oh yeah,
that's with that. So
okay, all right, cool bean. Okay, so what I want to do next is kind of get into a little bit of what we think the Panthers at
sure.
draft. Okay.
Yep.
And like I said, now I've had these slides up here. I talked about Icky for specific, and you
Yep.
even brought it up a little bit earlier. Okay. Now, all right, with that number 19 pick, okay, do you think we go linebacker? Do you think we go edge? All right. And my thing is this: I threw a tackle in here, and somebody made a comment about my man from Alabama. To pick him.
Proctor. Yep.
Proctor. Now, mind you, if we don't get him in 19, I highly doubt he's gonna make it to 51. At least that's the way PFF is going right. Okay.
Right.
So what do you think? Right. And like I said, and I got these three people there specifically because every mock draft that I've been doing behind the scenes, CJ Allen is there, TJ Parker is there, and Proctor. Okay.
Mhm.
So let me know if you would pick one of these three positions, any of these players, or would it be another position taken?
Yeah, I mean, all three of these positions to me are on the table, right? It just again, I said it on my channel yesterday. You know, what do we do in March, right? So if we bridge that gap for that left tackle position, right, and we handle it in free agency, I say you draft an edge. The reason why I say you draft an edge is because if we go look at this defense, we were dead last in pressure rates this past year. And we were also, I saw the interesting stat is that we were 31st in win rate when we got pressure. So, um, and again, we only got 30 sacks on the year. So
Hmm.
it's like, we're not getting after the quarterback. And I think that's another reason why we see our linebackers struggling in the middle field because the quarterback is sitting back there being so comfortable that he's able to read the field and find the middle of the field because, again, no offense, our linebackers are just not meant to play over the middle. They're not, the guys that we got are just not great coverage linebackers. They're just not. And so I think when we talk about this, I am such a big edge rusher guy because of that. And it's really just because we don't get after the quarterback enough. And it's just the numbers are ugly and we can't ignore it. Um, and I think that we've got to get somebody in here who can, you know, get pressure at the quarterback, get off the edge, be explosive, right? Someone who's got a great bend off that edge, very versatile, who can bring that juice, right? I just think that's just me. I think Nick Scorton is great. I think Derek Brown having us back is definitely bringing that pressure up the middle, which helps out a lot, and
Mhm.
obviously it helps against a guy like Matthew Stafford to have that pressure up the middle. But Nick Scorton is good, and he got 5.5 sacks, but you got to get somebody else over there to help him out, whether it's him getting the sacks or if it's the other guy creating the pressure. And, at the end of the day, I've said it before and I say it again, we got to find a closer, right? In baseball, you need a guy who can close out the game. We need a guy that can close out and get the quarterback.
Okay. All right, now let me ask you this. Would you agree or disagree that a lot of in a lot of situations you had the combination of Pat Jones when he was healthy, DJ Wanham, Nick Scorton, and Prince who were on a lot of attempts were this close to getting to the quarterback, but there was always some kind of a opening in that zone, in Evero zone that he likes to play, over the middle. And just like what you just said, our linebackers that we have now are not fit for playing in that zone scheme in
Mm-mm.
coverage over the. I think a lot. I think it's a delicate balancing act with Evero's defense like his linebackers have to be able to cover enough to give these edge rushers time to get to the quarterback. Okay. Now, mind you, still you got edge rushers that are taking too damn long to get to the quarterback. So it's like instead of working with each other, our linebackers and the edge rushers flashing. Okay. And I think that's
Right.
what hurt our defense probably the most this season. And this is
Yeah,
especially on
absolutely.
third down. Especially on third down. And I think it all comes down to what we do in free agents. Okay. If we were to go get maybe like if we were to go sign a Trey Hendricks, okay, maybe you don't go edge at number 19 because
No.
there's still at 51, there's still a few good choices out there. Okay.
Right.
Um, man named Height from Texas Tech, and I can't think of I got it on the screen here in a second. I think it's Michigan. There's Russia. Brooks or something. I only got
You're talking about Derek Moore.
more.
Yep.
My bad.
Yep. No, you're good. You're good. You're good.
My bad. But there are a couple good options right there. And to be honest with you, now I got TJ Parker on the screen. Okay.
I'm a
But if
big
the,
fan.
if I knew that the Panthers want to take a edge rusher at 19, I wouldn't be opposed to them getting Akeem Messi from Miami.
Miami. Yep.
Okay. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Now, mind you, they got him at like 680. It might be a situation where he could play, a little bit. I didn't see him stand up. I think they had the 4-3 scheme in Miami. So he was handing the dirt, but good speed, power, you know, good moves. Probably have to work on his move set a little bit. But in the same thing with TJ Parker as well. I know he had a good senior bowl. And I was watching highlights of him and they was talking about his just power, his ability to
Mhm.
just push a defense lineman back, get to the quarterback, make a so, we'll see.
Yep.
But and the thing is, and like you said, depending on what they do with Nicky. Now just say if we were able to pull off a Trey Hendrickson and maybe like a maybe if we Quay Walker, maybe if we were able to get him here. I think he might
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
something like that. If we were able to
Mhm.
pull that off, I highly doubt it. If we were able to pull that off, and then I think your whole board opens up, at number 9.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of guys out there in free agency, even that you don't have to necessarily get a Trey Hendrickson or get a Quay Walker. I think like a Leo Chanel that would play for Kansas City is a guy that they could get, and then you go get what was his name, um, Odefi Odefi Awasu or whatever his name is. He played for the Chargers last year.
Mhm,
Um, very young. I think he's only like 25 years old, 24, but has elite traits. So he has a lot of upside. And he had, if I'm not mistaken, he had like 3 sacks in in the Chargers playoff game. So,
mhm,
um, again, there's that. You got also guys out there like Joey Bosa, who is a free agent. I know that he's not what Joey Bosa used to be. Odefi Awe, sorry. Odefi
mhm.
Awe is what I'm talking about. Joey Bosa, again, it's a short-term bet, but still disruptive. But again, I think Odefi Awe is a guy that who has flashed a legit production. So I think he could be a guy. Again, with Trey Hendrickson, it's kind of like a high risk, high reward if structured right from a contract standpoint. But yeah, you're totally right. Like if you can get somebody in here, um, that can, you know, that can open up your board, that benefits you a lot. And I do think that I do see Dan Morgan like he's not going to be overly aggressive in this free agency, like he mentioned, but he's not going to sit on his hands, right?
Yeah,
And I think he's going to take the same approach that we saw last year in free agency.
facts. Gotcha. Hey, Double OK said, y'all thinking we need edge when we actually running mate Derek Brown, Caleb Banks.
I mean, but in a 3-4 defense, it doesn't make sense because your edge rushers aren't coming up the middle. Like your defensive, like Derek Brown is coming up the middle. You
Now,
need
now
the guys
mind
who
you,
can get off the edge, off the outside. That's where I don't understand this Caleb Banks thing because we're running a 3-4 defense. We're not running a 4-3. If we were running a 4-3, I would say all to it.
and I also I was going to say as well. Think about Kwan Short and Starlet. Okay, now you talking about probably I ain't gonna say the best, but one of the best duos we had when we ran a 4-3 defense. Latulle eating up double teams, and
Mhm,
Kwan Short was getting to the quarterback. Game
mhm.
after game after. But we'll see. And hold on, let me see. Said the double King said does make sense. What are we talking about? Caleb Banks. Oh, T Tom said Caleb Banks is not that good. Banks has low motor. Okay. Well, the good thing is, I'm sure that I'm sure the Evero and guys will do their due diligence, especially if you guys go to the combine, talk with.
I would say if he wants to bring in a defensive tackle, if he wants to bring a defensive tackle that has played like can be versatile like that, I
Mhm.
wouldn't go after I wouldn't go after a Caleb Banks. I'd go after a Peter Woods
Mm.
because Peter Woods can play edge. He can also play inside as well. Like he can play 5 technique, 3 technique, nose. He can go off the edge. Like Peter Woods can get moved around like that. TJ Parker was the same way.
Okay.
Clemson used him in versatile type of ways as well. So again, I would say those guys are a better fit than Caleb Banks because Caleb Banks to me is you're basically you're going to have 2 Derek Browns, but I just I don't know. I see where Double O Kane's coming from. I just don't think
Mhm.
the scheme fits it.
Huh. Gotcha. All right. Well, you know what? Now we have sat here and we have talked about, the what ifs of Carolina's going to do this or Carolina's going to do that. All right. How about we go ahead, Clay, and how about we go ahead and do a mock draft? All right.
All right.
And what I'm going to do is this is your mock draft. Just tell me where
Oh,
to point and click, sir, and then we'll go from there. All right.
how I appreciate
Uh
that.
Now I'm on PFF. Any setting changes you want me? here, or is the default okay?
Yeah, I just move the all I ever do is take randomness
Mm,
off. Like basically I take it off and then I just move the draft needs down one and I move the care for positional value down one.
okay,
Yeah. That seems to be like the most realistic I've seen with it.
right. So, let me ask you this before we get started. Do you think there's a possibility that the Panthers trade up?
I mean, possibly. I think it depends on the only person that makes sense for them to trade up for, to me personally, is if you're going to go get a guy like a Ruben Bain or a Bailey, one of those guys. If you're going to go out there, or you're going to go get a Sony Styles, like that's the only one
True.
that makes sense to me if you're going to trade up for. I think for Carolina, if anything, I kind of like the trade back approach because where we're at, I think you could move back and then accumulate capital because again, I like that move more because then you can if let's depending on how that free agency goes, you move back, you're able to get more guys, and I think that will benefit us a little bit more. I think it just depends.
Gotcha. Mr. Big Walk, what's going on with you? He said we're in 4-man front most of the time, each 5-man front, and they're just dropping in the coverage. Having someone like Banks Hunter makes a lot of sense, especially at Ashawn. Now, Mike, okay, now if Ashawn is gone, that does make more sense, you know. Now, like I said, I think we'll get a clearer picture of this once free agency starts and once the moves,
Mhm.
once all the transactions are made and we see who Carolina brings in, we can get a more, kind of accurate prediction.
Yeah.
He also said DB 100% needs running mate. Best way to get the quarterback uncomfortable. Help them. Facts. I agree. All right, Clay. So go ahead and start this draft. And we're at number 19. Let me know what
Good lord. Okay.
you
Well, we got TJ Parker right there.
Mhm.
I mean, there's another, if everybody's talking about a running mate, let's talk about Katie McDonald. I mean, I'm a big, if everybody's all about a running mate,
Mhm.
Caden McDonald is one of my favorites on this list, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I like Caden McDonald a lot from what I've seen from him. Of course, TJ Parker, that's a plug and play type of player, in my opinion. His tape doesn't lie, especially with him. I mean, he's a great. His hand fighting is pretty advanced. He's got strong leverage, relentless effort. I think he's a pro read rush move. I
Mhm.
think he'll step in on the NFL and make an immediate impact. I think that's the way that type of player he is. Um, and then what else do we have on the board? We got Sadiq, tight end. I mean, I know a lot of people have been looking
Yeah.
at. You got Kid Proctor, Lee Hunter, CJ Allen down there. All right. Good lord.
Hey, let me
Where do
say
I
for the
go?
for the record, Sadiq, which I think is a great player, I'm not drafting none of these.
No, no, me neither. No, me neither. No, me neither. Um, I think I'm gonna just stick with my game plan and take an edge rusher. Can we click on all the edge rushers? I just want to see the rankings real quick. Because of course, PFF, if you don't pick the right person with the
Oh yeah, you should have picked this person. Thank you. I
right,
got. It.
makes no sense. Yeah, I mean Akeem Messidor is right there, but you're not getting him at 51. This is where I think now, like this is where I think it gets tricky because I could get Akeem Messidor but I could get CJ, but if I trade back, I possibly could.
Mhm.
Um go look at the trade, go look at the Cleveland Browns real quick. I want to look at their their trades. And we got some trades here. So let's do that. Let's make this interesting real quick.
There's the Browns.
Hmm. So I trade back
Um,
to 24. Mhm. Well, who's all interested? I'm interested to see.
um,
27
those
trades? My god.
yo, that is
27 trades. Okay. All right, so if I did do a trade back here, what I would do is I probably go 24. I would see if they would take 24, 39. So 24 and 19. And then I'm probably not going to get their second round pick. I mean, I could, but if we're being realistic, I would probably say 24 in their 70th. Is that 70? Yeah.
yeah, 61%.
Yeah. See, that's something that seems to be more realistic to me. Um, or unless I did like 29, 24, and 39, and I gave them like, so go there, but then give them 51,
Yeah, likely accepted.
likely accept it. Okay. But they would have to give me, because they're moving up technically. I would have to see if they give me that 107.
Mm, yep, 91%.
Let's rock that.
Right. All right, trade has
I
been
don't think that's
accepted.
too crazy.
That's actually
All right, so that's what I would. That's just a little bit of a trade. So there we go. So now that kind of takes some room off the board there. TJ Parker actually went right before us. Who
right
took?
before
Who'd they take at
Eagles.
19? I'm interested to see.
Spencer Fanu, tackle, right tackle.
Oh, okay. All right. So that makes sense. So then now this is get interesting. This is where I'm going to probably now take a linebacker who I think I'm high on CJ Allen. I've watched some of his tape
Okay,
already. I think he brings the athleticism, the instincts that you're looking for, the coverage ability you're looking for. He's a reliable tackler. He doesn't come off the field. What I mean by that is he doesn't get injured very often. I think that alone is extremely valuable in the NFL. So I'm going to take CJ Allen with this pick.
all right. Now let me ask you. I know this is PFF.
And
Does
then
that
I'm going to see if
55 does that 55 coverage grade scare you?
I don't think I think they graded him a little way too low.
Okay.
I think they graded him way too low because over his career in Georgia, he's had since because he's been there since a freshman, I think he's had over 9 interceptions. So
Mhm.
I don't see and I know that's just, one statistic, but I don't see like one from when I watch film, he is going with slot corners and he's doing his job and he's covering well. And he's going sideline to sideline with these guys. So
Okay.
I don't know
Okay.
what PFF sees in that coverage grade, but I didn't see it in this film.
All right. DJ Allen, right?
Yep, I'm gonna go CJ Allen here.
Okay. So now we're at pick 39.
All right, so let's see what we're looking at here. All right, so we got Anthony Hill, Omar Cooper is interesting. What edge rushers? Is there anything here? Because I was hoping maybe someone would slide, but all right. So okay, we got Gabe Jackus is nice. Go to Gabe Jackus real quick. Romello Height ain't bad either. I like this is Gabe Jackus is a guy that I think a lot of people are sleeping on too. This is a guy that had a huge he had a huge kind of like coming out party at the Senior Bowl. I'm a huge and the reason why he's there is because he's had a major climb from the Senior Bowl. I'm gonna go with Gabe Jackas here because we do need the edge. So,
Right?
and he's the best edge rusher on the board, in my opinion. I mean, I could wait,
Mhm.
but what's my next pick? What am I looking at? 83. So, yeah, I mean, who's gonna be there at 83? I mean, Derek Moore's not gonna be there. I could take Derek Moore. I'm a huge fan of him as well. I'm gonna take Gabe Jackas. I'm gonna take a shot with him. We'll see what happens when the grading comes out. So we'll take Gabe Jackas. But I like what he brings to the table. I think again with him, he kind of reminds me of a very. I think he's got a very explosive step. He's got a great bend, great closing speed, a quarterback disruptor. He's not gonna anchor your edge in the run game very good. But if you're looking for a guy from what I've seen, for example, like you need a third down nightmare, this is a guy that can do it. He kind of reminds me a little bit like an R. Mason Thomas almost. Yeah.
Cool man. All right. Pick 83.
All right. So now we got linebacker and edge taken care of. Um, damn. Let's look for a running mate now for Mr. Derek Brown, since everybody is on it. So we got Daryl Jackson Jr., who I'm not like opposed to Daryl Jackson Jr. Um, I mean, we're talking about a guy who's like six. I think he's like 6'5", 337. Like he's a walking contradiction. Um, at his best, he's dominant. At his worst, he disappears. Like he's a mountain of a man, but who can absolutely wreck drives in short bursts. But the problem is with him, and that I've heard, is that his conditioning, his stamina is the biggest issues.
Okay.
So his cast tank really runs dry. Let's just say that. So I might hold off there. I guess this. Let me look at the tight end position. That would be my next look. Is the tight end position? Oh, Justin Jolly's there. I like him. And let's look at the safety as well, real quick. Big fan of Justin Jolly. I might wait. Where are we at next? We got that 107 pick. Ooh. Ooh, I see my boy. Okay, let's go with tight end then. I'm gonna go ahead and take a tight end because I do think that I think that we're still gonna be looking at fixing that tight end room. I like Justin Jolly a lot because he's 6'3", 251. The guy is like a contested catch machine. He wins 50-50 balls at a ridiculous rate. If you're looking for a red zone guy, a third down guy, broken play type of guy, this is it. Like he's not the flashiest, he's not the fastest, but he's just super reliable. So
Okay.
I like Jolly a lot.
Okay. Charlie?
Clay doing a
107.
7 round mock draft instead of three.
I
They're giving me shit because last night I only did a 3 round mock draft.
got you. I got you. All right. Cool beans. Cool
All
beans.
right. So now I see. Okay, wait. Go to safety. Please tell me he hung in there. Please tell me he hung in there. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Bud
There he
Clark.
is. Bud Clark. I am a huge fan of Bud Clark. This is a guy that I definitely want us to be targeting on our draft boards. I'm a huge fan of him, man. I really am. I think he's just. I think he is I think he's a fascinating developmental prospect. I think he's got the physical tools to be legit. Um, his turnover production jumps off the tape to me. And I think that he could become a true playmaking safety in this defense. So I really like what I've seen out of Bud Clark.
All right. Bud Clark. Okay.
Dang, D Nice. Do you know more than me? I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see D Nice.
All right. 119.
All right. So This is interesting. So I got CJ Allen, Gabe Jackus, Justin Jolly, Bud Clark. Torin York is an interesting linebacker, but am I going to go back to back linebackers? Are you, CJ? Would you be opposed going back to back linebackers? This is a good
Uh,
question for you.
in a lot of my drafts, I have gone linebacker, say around pick either 51 or 91, and I
Hmm.
swing back at pick see 199 and grab another one. Because my thinking is that, okay, if we do get a linebacker, we're still going to have Trevor Wallace, and I would bet I'd bet $100 that we're going to bring back Christian Roseborough. Okay, but you get somebody in here with Wallace and Roseboom, kind of like a situational linebacker. Like, my thing is when he gets in the game, more than likely he's coming on the blitz, and hopefully they change his rotors and brake pads for him enough for him to stop enough to be able to not run past all these
Yeah,
quarterbacks. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So, I'm not thinking that they take two of them high, but I wouldn't be shocked if they did take two.
yeah. Let me look at. I guess before I decide to take a double linebacker, let me look at the center position because it is. I mean, it's something we got to think about. Let's just if we're throwing for examples here, like if if K Mays doesn't get re-signed.
Mhm.
Um.
Facts.
Oh, Pat Coogan's down there, but I could probably wait on Pat Coogan, to get him, which is fine. Okay, so then let's look at offensive tackle. Sorry, I know I'm making
No.
you like move all around.
Oh, no, no, you good. I was clicking the wrong thing.
You're fine.
See,
Damn.
and this is my issue with tackle spot. That's why I say
Yeah.
we take tackle. I guarantee you it's gonna be round one and round two.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, go to Austin Barber real quick. Or it's gonna be. Let me see. I can't remember his position. Is he a left? He's a left
Left
tackle, right?
tackle.
Let me
Hey,
see.
also and shout out. I think it was I don't. I think it was T Thompson or Thompson, Rock Jones, or got who it was that made me realize snaps by alignment is right there because I was sitting there, can't tell if it was a left tackle or right tackle. And this whole square right here, looking at it the entire time and did not pay any. So appreciate it. I forgot who.
Um. All right. Let me think here because we don't have much to work with. Uh. I mean, if I'm going, I mean, the center position, I can wait for Coogan. I feel like if I want to go there. As for offensive tackle, I mean, Barber's not bad. Um, I've heard he's one of the more underrated prospects in this class. Um, he's obviously he's SEC battle tested, so he's got that experience under his belt. I've heard that he's got the athletic tools. I haven't watched enough of his film to even know. I've got so much film that I'm trying to catch up on with these prospects. Um, you know what? Well, let's go with Austin. Let's go with Mr. Barber. Let's go with Mr. Barber.
So now we got
Just
back to
something
back
different.
picks.
Sorry. So now we got back to back picks.
156. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. All right. All right. All right. Dang. Dang, dang, dang. So we got a safety, we got a tight end, we got a tackle. Oh, okay. Coogan's definitely one of them. Is he's still on the board, right? Because I could just
Yeah.
what where let me all right. And what's he? 168. All right. So we'll hold off on him.
Okay.
Let's go to defensive tackle. And I know everybody was talking about it earlier. Okay. Hmm. All right, I'm gonna hold off on defensive tackle. Maybe Demonte Capehart will fall, but I don't. I doubt it. All right. So let's go to wide receiver then. We'll make Jacoby Lane is an interesting prospect there. Let's see who else is up there. Jacoby Lane, Reg. Ooh, I think Reggie Virgil, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, and then there's Ted Hurst. There's that Tyron Montgomery.
Dang, ain't got nothing on.
I know, but he's
Non-Carol
one
blue
of
streaks.
he is one of those like he's like one of those like prospects that just like came out of the blue. Like he's just but
Mm,
he has been but apparently at the Senior Bowl he was like absolutely cooking dudes.
okay.
From my understanding. Go to
Who now? Sorry.
Jacoby Lane, he's at the top.
Oh,
He'd be the next pick if anything, probably. Yeah, what's he's a 6'4" though.
six
Because
four
I'm
two
thinking,
twenty.
I was trying to think about getting someone small with speed. Because
Mm,
Jacoby Lane, I think, runs like a 4.55, but he's a big body target. He's a boundary weapon, a big red zone specialist, from my understanding. Physical chain mover. So it sounds nice. Ted Hurst is interesting as well. I don't know what is Ted Hurst's 40 time. Let me go look that up real quick. Ted Hurst 40 time.
Henry.
Ted Hurst is a 6'3", runs a 4.48.
Well, there's your little guy right there, 5'8", 188. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Aaron.
Well, hold on. Virgil, I think, might be actually the pick here because he's not I don't think if he's the guy that I'm thinking of from Texas Tech. What's his first name?
Reggie.
Reggie Virgil. Let me look him up real quick. Let me look up his 40 time.
Shoot,
I
and
think
speaking of receivers,
he was the speedster there, if I'm
gotcha.
not mistaken, at Texas Tech.
Hey, but
Or
real quick though,
yeah,
speaking of receivers, didn't realize the volleyball tournament down. You know, I called you, told you I was down there
yeah,
in your neck of the woods.
yeah,
Went down to was it Sikorsky High School, and I was looking at that Hall of Fame, and it was like
yeah.
wide receiver.
Hunter
Oh
Renfro.
good, Hunter Renfro. Yeah, I
Yeah,
say my mind just leaves me. Yeah, I
yeah.
was like, oh, okay. Oh, he was from
He,
Myrtle Beach.
yep, 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 yep. Um, yeah. I mean, I've seen Renfro grow up, so it's like
Okay, gotcha.
it's crazy. Um, I think I'm gonna take I think I'm gonna take Reggie here. He's got a he's definitely was a speedster for them, but he was one of the five guys from the Texas Tech that got selected to go to the Senior Bowl. But the biggest thing about him is he was the the explosive vertical speed that Texas Tech used a lot, and the deep threat capability. So that's why I'm going to go with him here.
Right.
I knew that's who it was.
All right. Now 150
Now
left.
I'll take Pat Coogan.
Picks left 199 and 235.
Perfect. 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 Okay, let's look at defensive tackle again. Mm, not much to work with there. Yeah, not much to work with there. Let's go back to the linebacker position.
Right.
Um,
Why you checking? man from Oregon, Rice.
Bochard or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it. That's who I was actually who I was looking at. Not gonna lie to you. Um, yeah, just go ahead and take him because this is kind of like the later round, so I'm okay with
Right.
that. Yeah, we'll swing back and
And
we'll get an extra linebacker.
one more pick.
Heck with it. Let's bring in some quarterback. Bring in Tylen Green for me.
The cornerback?
No,
Oh,
quarterback.
quarterback. Gotcha.
Quarterback.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
at least a
QB.
corner. Okay. All
Give
right.
me I like Tylen Green because just because he's got legit he runs like a 4.40 and he's
Mhm.
like 6'6". Um and he looks like someone who's just like built in a damn lab. I think he's got all the raw I'm serious. He does, but but he's a developmental prospect and Dan Morgan mentioned that they wanted to bring in a young guy. So why not?
All right, bet. Well, PFF gave you a B, and
Okay.
their criticism drafted Justin Jolly, draft Malachi Fields.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, I'm gonna throw one in here just for the sake of saying I okay,
All right.
and make this here. Oh, I de enter. Okay. So for me, I'm not gonna do no trades right now. All right. All right. So depending on the situation with Icky, okay. Like I said, if we get a defensive we get a offensive tackle, gonna have to be in the first two. Right? And for my man Double O Kane, and I think Rock Jones, maybe T. Thompson, everybody was saying, Derek Brown needs a running mate. I'm going to change up my position right here because I usually don't do this in the first round. Okay. But I'm gonna go ahead and get my man Hayden McDonald out of Ohio State. Okay. 6'3", 326. Like I said, it's PFF. All right. Pass rush grade, not the best, but we don't necessarily need him to be able to get, you know, 10 sacks. Okay. So we go ahead and pick him up. All right. Now, at number 51, okay, I'm going to look at offensive tackle. And because the thing is, Blake Miller, right tackle, Caleb Tiernan, left tackle. Got Jennings Dunker, also a right tackle. You got Mark Bell, the big man from Miami. Okay, 6'9", 345 pounds. Okay. Um, let's see about him as well. But what I'm going to do, um, I'm going to try. Like I say, part of me wants to take Blake Miller, but I know he's a right tackle. I don't want the Panthers to come in and try to do a project with that, move him from right tackle to left tackle, because as you see, he had no snaps at left tackle. He had 101 2020, all his snaps last year. So what I'm going to do is go with the best left tackle we got right here in Mr. Kiernan. I've been saying his entire time. Now, mind you, in some of these other drafts, I have taken my man from Alabama at number 19 as I said, depending on what we know about Icky injury and what the Panthers do in free agency. I see a lot of people talking about getting somebody else for Derek Brown as a running mate, and if the possibility that we do end up parting ways with Roppstar. Okay, right here, take him. All right, come on, Pete. Okay, now, what I'm going to do here at number 83, I'm going to look at our linebacker. Okay. And he probably won't be there at our next pick, which is 119. And I'm going to go with the Butkus Award winner, Mr. Jacob Rodriguez. You pick him in damn near every
Mhm.
draft. Um, if my man from Cincinnati is there, what's the man name?
Gold Day.
Golday. Yeah. If he is there in the second round,
Yeah,
I have
Gold
picked
Day.
him sometimes as well, but I don't want to let Jacob Rodriguez fall. Another guy who had a good
Don't
senior
sneak
bowl.
and don't sleep on Kyle Lewis either.
Yeah.
Kyle Lewis
Uh-huh.
is a guy don't
He
sleep on.
he had a really good senior bowl and 6'1",
Yep.
20, and if you look at his stats, he had a lot of snaps covering slot. Okay. But something that our linebackers have to little Evero's deep. Like I said,
Yeah.
not sleeping on him at all. But this is just for me and my I guess in my fandom. We'll go with Rodriguez. All right. Now let me see my pick. So we've gone defensive tackle, and linebacker. Now, before we get far else gone in the draft, now if we get to this point and we do not have an edge rusher taken, I'm hoping it's a situation where the Panthers went out in free agency and potentially fill that need. Okay, because I don't think that if we were to go out and get a Trey Hendricks, or if we could get a what's a man named Clay from the Jaguars? Is it Devin Lloyd? If we could
Yeah, Devin Lloyd. Yep.
if we could possibly pull off getting Devin Lloyd here, something like that. We might not need to we might not see the Panthers take an edge rush this high in the draft. But for the sake of saying, it's still in need. I've hear about man name the name Tucker. Great stats, 14 sacks, but knock on him has been the competition. Okay, coming out of
Yep.
what is that? Western Michigan. Okay, so
Hmm.
he's playing in I forgot what conference they in. Knock on him is lack of playing against upper echelon talent. I mean, even though he did have a good game versus Michigan State, but he's playing Illinois, UMass, Ball State, Miami, Central Michigan,
Yep.
Ohio. You know what I mean? But not to
Yep.
discount him at all, okay, because he could come in here and ball out. All right, 6'3", 50. So you never know. Right? Just kind of like almost like Mike Green last year. It came out of was it Marshall? Raven, right? Um
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
to be
Him.
honest with you, I got to go back and look what his rookie season like. It's like he got drafted. I didn't hear anything else about him.
I can. Well, I'll look him up while you keep going.
Right. So I'm going to I'm gonna go with Nadeem Tucker. Right. Natum. How you say? Let me see. Also look
Well,
at
they moved
safety
him
slot
number
here.
one. So to Mike Green, apparently they moved him to linebacker.
Mm,
Um, he had 17 solo tackles, 3.5 sacks, 24 assisted. So he had 41 total tackles and a fumble recovery.
okay.
And he had 5.5 stuffs.
Because he was the talk of the town in the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, he was.
All right. So we got a defensive lineman, we got tackle, linebacker, edge rusher. Like you, I have been looking at safety in this draft as well. Excuse me, sorry. Okay. Jalen Stroman out of Notre Dame, 6'1", 4'1". And let me tell you, I'm not as up to date with a lot of these players like Clay is. So Clay, thank you for being here. Thank you for
Yeah,
giving me
man.
your analysis on a lot of these guys. Because when I say
Yeah.
I am severely lacking in knowing a lot of these kids, I'm severe. So I do. Okay.
It's a
Like
lot
I
to
said,
keep up with.
yeah, it really is. But like I said, I'm just kind of going off of what I see. And my like I said, and my mock drafts have differed wildly since I started doing them. It's the end of the season, but I'm gonna go with a safety because the thing is, don't keep Nick Scott. Let's say we don't bring back a Demani Richardson. All right, so we're still gonna need another safety. So now I'm doing like you, and I'm
You
not
just
gonna let Pat Coogan go off the board because the thing is, what if Cade Mays does not sign back with the Panthers?
right.
Okay, all right. And like I said I was gonna do, I'm double dipping at linebacker, and I'm going with the same guy we got, Bryce Boecher. That's how you say his name. All right.
I think that's how you pronounce it.
And let me see. Am I going to go with you know what? Took a quarterback, I'm taking quarterback. I know PFF is trash.
It might
Hey,
not be
but
that bad.
a B, that's not bad.
All right,
Okay.
I mean, yeah, you got an A
Yeah.
minus on both your first two, your fourth round pick and your first.
Now, mind you, Hayden McDonald pick, it depends on what happens with free agency, or free agency, or if or whatever they decide to do, Ashawn Robinson. If there's
Yeah,
anything they have to decide to do, it might just be me talking, about releasing the cap space. Panthers may not have that in their wheelhouse.
right.
You know what I mean? But more than likely, in my mock drafts, we're going to take an edge rusher or offense left tackle at number 1. I mean, at number 19 and number 51. It's usually going to be one of those. Okay, until we see what's going on. Okay, so yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, man. But that's all right. Tell you, I do have a hell of a lot of fun with these damn mocks.
Oh
Hell of a
yeah,
lot of
that's all they are right now until after March. Then you can kind of get more serious once you know what they've, once we've seen what they've done
fun.
in the front office. So
Okay, cool beans, man. Well, Clay Dog, I appreciate you joining me tonight. That's all I got for you.
yes, sir.
Like I said, I appreciate your expertise. Yeah, I just appreciate you joining, man. We gotta do this more often together
Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
and get on here and elaborate. But
Absolutely.
again, hey, thank you to everybody in the chat. Right, all the messages. All right, thank you for the super chats. I forgot who sent them. Chat box is a little different. Everything's not highlighted. Those of y'all that see chats and stuff, thank you. I greatly appreciate that. More a long ways more than you know to helping keep the channel going, develop the channel, and enhance it. Okay. Clay, before we get out here, man, tell everybody where they can.
Yeah, I mean, you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, X, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, but mainly my main account is, of course, the Roppstar Report on the YouTube. I have a link tree, so it'll take you to all my social media, whether that, like I said, Instagram, TikTok, all the good stuff is on there. So yeah, you can find me over there. Like, subscribe, of course, with CJ's channel. I shared all of his stuff in my Discord to everybody that's joined it. So, and of course, reposted the X post, so everybody should see it on my profile. So yeah, make sure y'all guys like and subscribe over here as well.
That's one thing I gotta do is set up my Discord. I started to one time and I never finished. But right. And just like Clay said, y'all can catch me everything at Armchair G. Okay. Please go check out my website, armchairj.com. All right. More posts, more of my opinion articles coming up here in the near future. Some reviews of a position, offense, defense. All right. Oh, and before we got out here, Clay, I did see one thing. I want to know if you agree or disagree. I saw a Fox Sports poll, and it had coaches on the hot seat. Dave Canales was number 4. Who in God's name had Dave Canales ranked number 4 as coaches on the hot seat?
I don't. I mean, I know that Dan Morgan said that they're in win now mode, but I don't understand how you can go ahead and put him in the hot seat, especially after where he went 5-12 one season, then the next season won the NFC South, went to the playoffs, went 8-9.
Mm-hmm.
And no one expected us to even be there, and you know, I don't get it.
Yeah,
That's all I got to say is I don't get it. I haven't seen anywhere where he's been on the hot seat. I haven't seen any reports within Charlotte. So someone's got to tell me something I don't know, I guess.
I hear you. I know we backed our way into the playoffs, but with a fairly officiated game down in Tampa, would have been okay. Ain't nobody tell me nothing different. Right?
Right.
But as always, Panther Nation, like you said, please make sure you go over and check out Clay's channel. God Almighty, boy. I get tongue tied like a mug here. Check out Clay's channel. All right, subscribe to all of his YouTube, TikTok, everything on his link tree. All right. Before you leave out of here, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to my channel as well. I greatly appreciate all the love and support. And as always, Panther Nation, I'm gonna leave y'all with three things. One, y'all be good. Number two, y'all be safe. Number three, as always, Panther Nation, keep pounding, man. I'll see you.